Well, hello everybody. Since I'm sous vide a steak for myself tonight, before attempting the chuck roast in the Instant Pot, I'm going to do a sous vide. And I'm going to set the timer so it'll be done right after my live stream when I can take it out and sear it off in my carbon steel pan. First step is to fill this thing up to the 2/3 mark, and there's a mark in here that says max, with water. So we'll do that. We'll do that first. All right, we have filled it up to the mark, and we'll take it and put it in to the sous vide, to the Instant Pot. And it should be quick. We have a beautiful 26.3 ounce, look at this thing, ribeye that I got last June, a little over a year ago. One of those Sam's Club marked down meat things, but this is a 26.3 ounces. This thing is a pound and a half more, 1624. It is more than a pound and a half of ribeye. And we're going to take it and we're just going to stick it down in the water here. It's already vacuum sealed. Then I'm going to put the lid on it. First time I've done this. Okay, I put it in the water, got the lid on. I'm going to press the sous vide button. And I want to lower the temperature to 128 degrees. And then I want to set the time to 3 hours. And then I want to press start. And that's all there is to it, I think. I think that's all there is to it. It's going to preheat. It's set to 128 degrees. It's never going to create any steam or pressure. And it's going to cook for 3 hours. And then we're going to see just how well it did. So we'll be back later after my live stream. Okay, I'm back. I just finished a really fun 2-hour live stream. If you haven't seen it, go look for the replay. We had a great time. What a great group of people I had out there. At any rate, you were watching all along with me on that live stream because I had a camera set up on this thing. I called it the sous vide cam. And we watched the countdown. Took a glance at it every now and then. And right now it says 18 minutes left. It's already plenty done because it was set for 3 hours. It only needs 2. But the big question is did it cook right? And do I need to make any adjustments to it? So the nice thing, interestingly enough, about the Instant Pot is it's not pressure cooking now. It's not pressure cooking, so it doesn't need to have the lid locked, and I can take the lid off. You can even sous vide without the lid on if you want, I imagine. Just keeps the water from evaporating by having the lid. So now it's open, and this is supposed to be 128 degrees. So I got my thermometer out, and I want to see how close to 128 degrees the water really is. And this water is 124.5 degrees. Now, that's 3.5 degrees less than what I have it set for. And 3.5 degrees, we're going to see. We're going to sear it off, and we're going to see if it's actually too rare. But it's close. It's closer than I thought it was going to be. I figured there'd be a slight temperature difference, and then knowing that this particular machine runs 5 degrees low, 3 degrees high, then every time I did a sous vide in it, I just make that adjustment. But I'm happy because a few degrees undercooked is better than overcooked. So I've got this thing at 16 minutes, and I'm just going to unplug it because it's done. I don't need to do it anymore. I learned one thing about this, which is cool, but there is moisture in the lid, but it's got these tabs here. I wonder what they were for. And it's got holes in the handle, and you take the tab and stick it in there, and it holds the lid up. So it's got one on each side and a tab on each side. So that's pretty handy. And we'll take the bag and set it there in the sink and get my frying pan ready. Now, I've learned something about searing. I've seen a couple of very interesting videos lately about the correct temperature to sear meat. And I was always under the impression that it needed to be screaming hot. Come to find out, after I did a little research, watched a couple of videos, that that's not true. And that the best temperature, really the best temperature to sear a sous vide steak is around 350 degrees, which is great because if you're doing it in butter or bacon grease, you're nowhere near the smoke point where that stuff might burn. Whereas butter is going to brown some. So instead of setting this on high, I've done this once already, I set it on 8, and that worked out pretty good. And of course this thermometer that I use, which is on my Amazon links page on my website, oldguycarnivore.com. Always an opportunity to plug my webpage. You can aim it at it, points a little laser dot at it, and it tells you. Right now it's 100.8 degrees. I just turned it on. So we're going to cook this in butter. I'm going to sear it in butter. We're going to sear it for about a minute aside. We're going to make sure that we get that pan up to about 350 degrees before we put the steak in, because we want it to hit that hot pan. By that time the butter should be sizzling. We'll get our fancy carnivore wooden plate and our fancy Damascus carnivore steak knife so we can have the primal meat eating experience. It may sound funny, but I gotta tell you, it does add another dimension to the experience of eating like we're supposed to eat. Now, one thing is, when you do sear meat, it's got to be it can't be really wet. So I always take, and once I open the sous vide bag, I take and blot it off. God, this is a big hunk of meat. Holy cow. And I say holy cow in a non-pun kind of manner. Wow, this thing really is a big piece of meat. I don't normally get a steak that's over 1.5 pounds. This was close to 27 ounces. But you want to get it relatively dry. And since this came from the sous vide and hasn't been salted yet, let's see what we got here. 390. Let's turn it down just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to use Redmond salt on it. I'm just going to salt one side. Don't need too much salt. And We're going to sear the edges. Turn on the fan. And then we're going to sear it 1 minute to 1.5 minutes a side, tops. So now we're going to put this thing down in the pan, and we're going to let it, try to get everything in contact with the pan. We're going to let it go for 1 minute or 2. 340 degrees. Pretty good. Pretty good. You're not going to get it that accurate. Now, there's a nice sear, nice looking sear on that, especially on the cap. But there are areas where it was basically a little in. So I'm going to let it sear for a second on this side, and then I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it once again. And I think this is probably done by now. Yes, look at that. Is that gorgeous? Oh man. Oh man. So we will bring that steak over here. Beautiful. Pour a little of this butter on it. Perfect. That's the mess right there. That's all the cleanup there is. And we'll wipe that carbon steel pan out later. Get myself a fork. A napkin. And I will come around here and sit down. And we'll cut into this. And we'll see. The moment of truth. We will see how the first sous vide in that new Instapot, how it came out. And I think the best way to do this would be just to cut it right across the middle here. So I'll do that. And let's take a look at that. That is a beautiful medium rare. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Now, I'll do another one. I will do another one, and we'll see with the same setting if it indeed maintains that same temperature. And if that's the case, I know to add a couple degrees if I really want a true 128. But this looks fine. This looks beautiful. Wow. My God, look at this. I hate to make you watch. That. Words fail. I don't care what steakhouse you go to. If they don't gump it all up with all kinds of crap that you don't want to eat, spices and sugars and things, just the pure taste of the meat and salt and the texture of this ribeye, it's perfect. It's perfect. So I'm going to say goodbye to you and finish eating this and enjoying every bite of it. And you can take the rest of the day off and you eat some meat.